Hi everyone, welcome to Potluck Food Talks. Today we're going to talk about TV chefs. Do you have any favorite TV chefs?
I got a few.
But let's talk only about like cook shows, not about, like documentaries, travel and these things, like where the chef is actually cooking like a TV chef,
Like actually cooking.
Exactly. For instance, Bourdain wouldn't qualify for this episode.
No, Bourdain wasn't a chef.
He deserves his own episode.
So one of my favorite TV chefs is Marco Pierre.
Seriously?
Yeah.
But
he's just legendary, man.
But you're talking about his cooking.
No. I'm talking about his early work, man. When he was still at Harvey's, when he was still a young gun. That's this TV show, Marco.
Yeah, that was also like one of my favorites.
So good. That's so good, man. Like the whole show, like his attitude, like the way that he cooks, the like beat up kitchen, like I love it, man.
Yeah,
absolutely
man.
love it.
I also love his books, like these autobiographical books, like White Slave, super nice pictures, Devil in the Kitchen,
White Heat.
Yeah. White Heat as well.
Yeah, it's like this is just like so no bullshit. There's so many legendary moments in that TV show, where
the one where he's cutting like mushrooms, like tak 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 tak, yes, tak 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 tak,
yes.
No, tak 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 tak.
And she's like, if you're only gonna answer yes or no to my questions, then there's no point in doing it. And he's like, all right, there's the door. And she's like, no. He's like, no. Like I'm just paid to cut the mushrooms. And she's like, no, Marco, no, that's not what I meant. And he was like, do you want me to cut myself? Is that what you want me to do? If you want me to cut myself, I'll cut myself.
Yeah, then it was like, at some point, he does like, to her.
Yeah. Yeah. He goes like, he's like, you want me to cut myself, I'll cut myself. You want me to chop the mushrooms, I'll chop the mushrooms. You want me to make the sauce, I'll make the sauce. But never expect me to sell my heart.
Rebel.
Yeah, exactly. I absolutely love that.
Amazing episode, yeah, man.
So funny. I also love how he goes to the fishmonger, and these like young fishmongers, like 80s, long hair, and they're sort of like, yeah, it's very difficult to work with Marco, very difficult. Yeah, but he's very demanding, but he's lovely, really. And then Marco comes into the fish shop, and he's got this like attitude, and he's like, beautiful bass, beautiful turbots. What's this? What's the swordfish? Oh, yeah, very nice. Yeah, it's really, really nice fish today. And the guy's like, yeah, thank you, Marco, thank you. And he's like, why isn't it always like this? And the guy's like, it is, Marco. It's always like this.
Then there were also his young chefs talking about him, and they're like super respectful, like,
Yeah.
He will demand so much from us, but it's never not for a reason and blah, blah, blah. And then you also get to see young Gordon Ramsay in that kitchen working in some episodes, also like making pasta as a young...
Yeah, before his facelift, yeah. I mean, it's... Marco was his sous chef, I think, no? And it's cool to see.
Well, for me, that's not even a cook show. For me, that's also like a documentary of a restaurant.
Yeah.
But like TV chefs... I don't know, like most of my TV chefs, there was this channel in Latin America called El Gourmet.
Mm-hmm.
So there were plenty of chefs I would watch there. There was this Japanese called Iwao Komiyama, which was super funny because he would speak Spanish, super, like Japanese sushi chef, and would speak Spanish with this super strong Argentinian accent.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And he was like making sushi... But really nice execution and everything. It was super nice to watch.
Yeah.
And also, I would say there was this Basque chef that lived in Mexico for a long while, Bruno Teiza.
Yeah.
And he would do like also, like TV cooking, like having like a TV set where he would do recipes. And I think that was also pretty cool.
That's nice. I mean, as far as TV chefs goes, like there's lots from the UK. The UK has lots of really good cooking shows.
Two Fat Ladies. You ever saw those one?
I've seen that one. That one's very funny, but like I wouldn't count them as chefs. They're two fat ladies cooking, but like
butter lovers. There was always so much butter in those episodes.
Yeah. I feel like they're like a little, they're kind of like a Julia Child sort of thing, I mean, Julia Child was also like I looked at some of her recipes lately, actually. And the amount of butter she used. But it's not just like, hey, we like to use butter in a restaurant, but that's excessive. Nobody uses butter like that. It's like, base it in butter, then pour some butter on it and finish it. And one recipe, it said sort of like, you might want to serve a sauce with this dish, such as melted butter. And I was like, that is not a sauce. Melted butter is not a sauce.
But you also have to think that woman died in the 80s, if I'm not wrong, like those are like super old recipes.
And she was American. So, there's that.
Well, we have to talk about Jamie Oliver. What are your opinions on Jamie Oliver?
I grew up with Jamie, so he's got a soft spot in my heart, especially when he started the show in his like fancy countryside home where he had the garden.
Yeah, it was like a milestone in the TV show's history, I would say.
Yeah, and it was very nice, and he cooked nice food. I think in recent years he's gone a bit bananas. Like I grew up and I started cooking with Jamie Oliver. I had his cookbooks as a child. As like when I was like 10. And would cook recipes out of it. So, he was part of the, what got me cooking, but not so much anymore. Like the stuff that I see from him nowadays is a little bit too much showmanship, too much this, that, blah, too much selling his own persona. And
at some point he was in the top 10 chefs, the richest chefs in the world. I'm not wrong.
Well, I'm not surprised.
And he built the whole thing from television, like.
Yes.
Well, I think an important name to mention also is Karlos Arguiñano.
I don't know who that is.
Really? Well, he was part of the New Basque cuisine, and at some point he had a Michelin star, and he gave up his star to become a TV chef.
I think I know who you mean. You always wear a talk and stuff. Is that him?
And sings, and he's quite
like a real character, right?
Quite a character.
Yeah, I think I know who you mean.
And he's an icon here in Spain. Like, he has still his restaurant here in Sarauts, and people go there just to take pictures of a statue of him. That level of icon I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, what I respect about him, I respect many things about him. Like, he's been on air for the last maybe 40 years on primetime. Like, everybody loves him. I've never heard someone, people make jokes that you're using parsley as a decor, like Arguiñano, because he always, whatever he does, he ends up with parsley on top.
Of course.
Or you start every recipe with onions, like Arguiñano, and this kind of thing. But I also heard, like, this is something everybody tells me, like, Arguiñano's recipes always work. If you go to his website and you want to find like a classic Spanish things and you use his recipes, they always work. I'm pretty sure he has like a team of recipe testers that develop those recipes. But at the end of the day, it's his brand,
Yeah, no, that's cool. That's rare also, because a lot of people at home might not know this, but recipes usually are bullshit because they're not tested properly. Like, writing a proper recipe is not that easy, and it takes a little bit of work. And so a lot of times when people have to make a lot of recipes, they bullshit a little. One person who I also really like is Nigella Lawson, the domestic goddess. But as successful as she is, I think the food that she makes is super nice, and her recipes work most of the time also. And it's just like this right level of like homey cooking with like, interesting aspects of it. And I think it's super cool.
Others, Gaston Acurio. I first met Gaston Acurio's from his cooking shows at this channel I mentioned.
Yeah.
Now he's so much more than a TV chef. But that's when I first saw him, I thought like, okay, this is like, or probably he was already before. He was already a restaurant chef.
Yeah, he's a chef, right? Like, he's a real chef who's also on TV. And that's actually quite rare.
Exactly.
Yeah. Like Raymond Blanc, for example,
Ah, yeah. He had this TV show.
Oh, he does a lot of TV.
He does a lot still today, right? Yeah, I've never been into British TV, so I'm not so much into it.
Yeah, he does a lot of TV, but, he's a real chef. And apart from that...
Like a world-class historic chef. For sure, yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And his restaurant, Le Manoir, iconic, still to this day, and a great character. And I also really love the way that he cooks. It's just fun watching him, and you can really there's the one person that you can really learn something when you watch it. Like even me as a chef, I really enjoy watching his show, and it's like, I'm not going to be like, oh yeah, like taking notes, but like you see like little bits and bobs and you're like, oh, that's quite nice. That's quite nice how he does that.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. When you see a chef and you see him working and you see him doing things you didn't saw before. I remember the first time I saw Tim Melzer. Tim Melzer, I would describe him as somebody who wanted to replicate the formula of Jamie Oliver for the German market.
Yes, 100%.
So he kind of like tried to, use the same aesthetic and the same tone and, and make it German.
Yeah, everything basically.
I remember I was like somewhere in Spain. It was not in Germany. And there was this German channel and he was cooking and I saw him doing like a Hollandaise, the way you would do a mayo with a mixer. And I never saw that before. And I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. I never saw that before. And then I never followed him. But he has both lots of haters and lovers in Germany, if I'm not wrong, right?
Yes. Yeah.
On which side are you, Phil?
Oh, I don't know.
On the lover side, of course.
Yeah, of course. I have to say, I don't think that I know enough about him to really justify the dislike that I feel for him. I don't know. Like everything that I've seen from him is just very filthy. It's just like, Jamie Oliver is also like a bit of a messy guy. Jamie comes from like a very good restaurant trajectory. He was cooking at the River Cafe in London, which is a very amazing restaurant still to this day, with super pure Italian style food, ingredients and just like good technique and no bullshit. And but I think you can really see that in his cooking. And Tim Melzer, it's like, whenever I saw him, he did things where I was just like, man, why? Like dirty little tricks and stuff. And just sort of, saying nonsense, sort of like, if you don't have this, just use this. And just like, if you don't have...
Yeah, I get that. If you don't have onions, use garlic. Like
yeah, well, stuff like that. But also just kind of like, well, if you don't have lemon juice, just use the pickle liquid of these tinned onions and stuff like that. And that's like, I don't know. And it's like, that's fine. But it was just this kind of like, it was just very messy and just like almost like a hobo cooking,
I remember that there was a chef in Venezuela that was really hated because this guy was really like a TV product. I don't remember his name, but he had like this, Emeril, right? The American. He would always do like, bam, like this sound when he would throw something like, Emeril is a cool TV chef, I have to say.
Yeah.
But this guy would imitate him and he would always say, verde, que te quiero verde. He would scream when he was throwing parsley to the food. And it was like a TV product without culinary background and cooking shit with lots of audience and people following him, and using stock cubes for everything. And that guy really annoyed me, man. And everybody in the culinary scene, I remember.
Yeah, it's like, that's the thing, no? It's kind of like, well, TV chefs who are not chefs, oh my God, that just brings me to a point where which really annoyed me the other day. It was like, I don't know if you ever follow the YouTube channel of Bon Appetit, the YouTube channel.
Ah, yeah, sure.
Fuck me, right? They produce some good stuff like Brad Leone. I love Brad Leone. If you haven't seen, his stuff, absolutely amazing. Also, when Claire was on there doing her pastry shenanigans, absolutely amazing content. But they have this series where they're like, pro chefs react to cooking scenes in Hollywood movies. And it's like, they talk about it and you're like, calling yourself a pro chef is a bit of a stretch, mate. Because they spurt out these opinions that, as if they're the like professional expert, where me as an actual professional expert, just listens to that. And I'm sort of like, that is just not true. That is just absolute bullshit what you just said.
Yeah, there's so much bullshit around food. Yeah.
Yeah, and I hate that when there's like TV personalities making these statements and everybody's like, oh yeah, they're on TV and they're cooking, so they must be a professional. It's like, no. There's a big difference between somebody just making him throwing some parsley on something, like you said, or somebody who actually knows what they're doing.
Yeah, the same way you mentioned that Jamie Oliver got you into cooking. I wouldn't say he got me into cooking, but he got me into getting interested in professional cooking. Was Sumito Esteves. He's also a Venezuelan TV chef, but he became like really big in Latin America through this channel. But for me, it was also nice to hear him because he was like a Venezuelan making it. And his shows, like he would cook like, like demi-glasses live on real time and this kind of thing. And these were actually the first time I saw this kind of techniques. It was the first time I saw someone making an espuma and putting it in a siphon and these kind of things.
Yeah.
And I actually ended up going to his culinary school, which is where I studied.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. I mean, it's difficult, It's like there's a lot of bullshit content out there. But there are people who do good stuff. Hey, if we talk about TV chefs and we've just kind of crossed over into the YouTube territory, who I used to dislike and now I really love?
David de Jorge.
I don't know who that is.
No? Robin Food?
Fuck. David de Jorge. Let me see. Oh, no, I don't know who that is.
No, really? Okay. No, I don't want to talk about him because I will only say bad things about him. So we can leave this out.
No, but you know who I really love? Maddie Matheson.
I haven't seen.
What?
The thing is, I haven't seen cook shows like since I started cooking. When I started cooking, I just see fragments, but not like a follower or something.
No, man. Maddie is so cool because he is like himself. He's like this persona that he's created and is very loud, very colorful, and it's very entertaining to watch. But at the same time, it's not my style of food at all, because it's very full on. But man, he cooks really good. Like he cooks really well. And I looked at his cookbook. The last one he brought out was like Home Cooking with Maddie or something like that, some stupid title. And it's just like good food in there, the kind of stuff where I'm sort of like, man, I would make that at home, And that's rare. I think that's rare.
Another one that I really liked was an Argentinian called Gato Dumas.
Uh-huh.
He was like, like a super classic Argentinian chef from the 80s. He already died, but this typical like fat old guy with a glass of wine in his hand. He was drinking it during the episodes and doing super traditional food with this strong Argentinian personality. It was super fun to watch.
That's nice. Kind of like Carluccio. Carluccio?
No.
The Italian? No, he was also like this kind of like a little bit corpulent Italian guy, like gray hair with a walking stick and, like going foraging for mushrooms and stuff like that.
You know who I really liked? Wolfgang Puck.
Oh, really?
This guy with the Arnold Schwarzenegger accent, cooking. And I think his cooking is quite nice. What he does, I like it. I see for me, he's a chef,
Yeah, he's incredibly successful. He must be one of the richest chefs in the world for sure.
At some point, he was number one. I think he's not anymore.
Yeah, he's a chef for the Oscars and stuff like that. Like it's. He's very, very successful.
Yeah, and he has also this strong charisma.
Yeah, he's a bit of a dick, right? but what can you say?
And that's also a guy that I have tried his recipes a few times, and they always like super nice recipes. What about Jose Andres, man? Jose Andres was a TV chef at the beginning. Now he's so much bigger than that. But he he was many other things, but here in Spain, he made his name because, he was just like a chef at El Bulli. Then he went to Washington. He was someone in Washington, but nobody in Spain until he started like a TV show in Spanish for Spanish television. And like when I first came to Spain around 2005, it was the TV show about food. And you can still find the episodes on YouTube. It's super nice.
Okay. Yeah. I like Jose Andres. There's things that I like about him. There's things that I dislike about him, as in dislike in the fact that I don't need to watch too much of it. He gets very tiring very quickly, I think. With the strawberry. Have you ever peeled a strawberry? If you take it and peel the strawberry and you put it in your mouth, it's like making love to the most beautiful woman. Something like that, no? Who peels a strawberry? No, Jose.
What about your friend David Chang?
So David Chang, he's made some of the coolest content, I think, especially like back in the day with The Mind of a Chef and stuff.
The Mind of a Chef is still today, I would say, my favorite cook show.
Was amazing.
Yeah, it
absolutely
was super
amazing.
nice, especially the first seasons. After that, it became boring.
Yeah. As a chef, I don't like David Chang so much. I think it's very, very messy and just like obscene cooking. He does a lot of things that are really cool, you know, and he's done a lot of things that are really cool. But like when I see him on a TV show and he like fries some like store-bought fucking Krispy Kreme donuts, puts some store-made ice cream on it, you know, and people are eating it like, wow, this is crazy.
You're a genius.
You went to the supermarket, you bought a donut, and you put some ice cream from the supermarket on the donut. And it's like, what the fuck are you guys talking about? You know, like, what is going on here? It's ridiculous. And that I don't like, you know, it's this like this consumerism, nothing is enough. Then just like more and more and more and take a burger and put on some caviar and this, it's just obscene, you know? And that part I don't like, but he's paved the way for a style of restaurants in the modern like landscape and a style of cooking also. And that's, you know, nobody can take that away from him. He was by far one of the most influential chefs of our time.
Yeah, I agree.
You know who's really cool and who I would like to see have a comeback? Jacques Pepin.
Jacques Pepin.
Yeah.
I remember, well, we can't tell this story. Like, do you remember our omelette adventure?
Yes. I don't know how many omelettes we made.
So Phil and I, we were like, we don't know how to cook omelettes. Okay, why don't we buy 70 eggs and just cook as many omelettes until we get them right, you know? And we did. Ah, man, I remember it was so disgusting at some point that like I couldn't eat egg for weeks. You know?
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of egg. It's an unhealthy amount of egg. And I think it's crazy that we did that. Like now thinking back to it, it was the most normal thing for us. We're like, yeah, we're going to buy 70 eggs and we're just going to make omelet after omelet after omelet.
But I remember the best reference for that omelet thing was Jacques Pepin omelet video.
Yes.
He actually explains how to hold the pan to flip the omelet directly on the plate, which was quite useful. Actually, still today, if I see someone doing that, I know he knows. You know, like this guy is not just cooking an omelet; he knows.
He knows. He's one of us. One of us. One of us.
His name was Peter Paulson. Okay.
Yeah, but these sorts of things, you know, they're like, I don't know about you, the hundreds and hundreds of chefs that I've worked with, right? There is only a handful who can cook an omelet properly. And that's pretty depressing. And I don't know. I think it's just something that you should be able to do. And you know what? Like the other day I made an omelet. I don't ever make omelets, you know, ever, unless I want to show off and, you know, be like a cool chef guy and make like a nice omelet. And my omelets are far from perfect. You know, I don't make great omelets, but I can make an omelet that passes as an omelet.
What's a nice omelet for you? For me, a nice omelet is like a perfect zeppelin, which is cooked on the outside and liquid on the inside. For me, that's like a 3-star omelet, like a super, like the ones this Japanese guy does that then he opens it with a knife and you know what I mean? Like
for sure.
On top of a rice.
I wouldn't say liquid.
Creamy.
I think some people take it too far.
Okay, agree.
But for sure, creamy. And if you get really into the details of it, the size of the curd that's inside of the thing, because if you're too lazy with your stirring, the curd's going to be too big. But if you're too aggressive, it's like scrambled egg inside, and that's not cool either. You know, you have to have the right. That's the thing about the omelet. You have to control your heat. You have to control your movement. You have seconds of it needs to be decisive action taken, right? And you have to be there. The philosophy of an omelet, you know, it's deep. And the other day, I really felt like just eating like a simple breakfast, and I was like, I'm going to make an omelet. I made a 3-egg omelet with nothing, no cream, no nothing, just eggs and butter and salt. and it came out pretty nice. And I ate it. I sat down and I ate it, and it was just a quick breakfast for me, but it turned out really good. And I was like, man, when an omelet is made nicely, it's fucking delicious.
Yeah, for sure.
So tasty. Like, there's a perfect texture on the inside. And I was really sort of like reminded of the impact of the base technique executed properly is far superior than most extra little bits that you can do.
That's it for this week's episode of Potluck Food Talks. If you like what we're doing, make sure to subscribe to the podcast so you never miss an episode. You can also find us on Instagram and TikTok as Potluck Food Talks. The show airs every Monday.